Howdy y'all. It is another Monday, which means it is time for me to film my Flosstube. I am filming it considerably earlier. It is 11 o'clock in the morning where I'm at. So I'm feeling a little more energized than usual. It's a good day today. I think it's a little rainy, a little windy, but it's a good stitching day. So I had mentioned last time that I might be starting a new pattern, and I decided to do it. I decided to start this Riolas kit. And Riolas actually uses, let's see if you can see it, it uses acrylic yarn, which is fun to work with. And I ended up subbing out the 14 count Aida that was in here for some 18 count fiddler's cloth that I got from Joann's, and I'm doing 2/1 half stitches with it. And I have decided that this is going to be my Wednesday piece. So there is my first 400 stitches there. That is the beginning. Let's see if I can point it out to you. That is this bit of this cat right here, and then this red bit down here is the beginning of this book, and then that vase right there, which is actually really neat to stitch because it's got those different colors in it. This piece has, let's see, 20 colors, and it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. It goes really fast, and yes, I am parking with this piece, so I will be coming over when I restart over here. I've decided to let this be my Wednesday piece because there is a show that I watch that comes out every Wednesday at 7, and I watch the live stream of it, and it's around 2 hours, so I got all that done in around 3. I stitched on it a little bit beforehand because I wanted to get a start on it before. I've got really good coverage with 2/1 on half stitches. I like it a lot better. There's a little bit in here that you can see full crosses, and if it doesn't stick out, so I don't think I'm going to rip it out. I'm just going to keep it. But yeah, I'm really liking it. This is going to be my first piece with half stitches, and I am railroading, which if you don't know what that means, it means that you take your needle between the 2 pieces of floss and split it before you bring it back in to get the floss to lay cleaner, and I do think that is helping. It is kind of strange to go from my 25 count Heaven and Earth design to this. The holes are a lot bigger, which I definitely appreciate, and there is not nearly as many color changes. I am going block by block because I do have to count on this piece a lot more than either of my other ones, and I don't want to mess it up, so we are doing it like this so that I don't have to take out a whole bunch of stitches, because even though I love to cross stitch, I am a horrible counter. But yeah, one last time, this is the piece that I started, and it will be my Wednesday piece. So, I mean, if I can get 400 stitches on it every week, I'm fine with that. That's more than enough for me personally. Yeah, and then I have really exciting news on my Heaven and Earth design. I got another page finish, and I have officially passed the 10% mark, which is really exciting. So last week, I was working on this page right here. Let me hold it a little further back. I was working on this page right here. Doesn't have the best coverage in some of these black places, but taking it back, you know, it's fine. And I started to work. I decided that I realized something when I was working down here. I had been working in rows, so I'd been going across. And I realized how kind of silly that was, because in a lot of this piece, if you can see, most of it is horizontal, not vertical. This page is the exception. I don't think I've done any other vertical stitching, really. No, vertical. Most of it is vertical, not very much of it is horizontal. So I think I've decided that I'm going to, for as long as it helps, work in columns instead of rows, which has made this side go so much faster. So this page actually started here, so I've got I finished that page Saturday morning because I just had a little bit left to do down here. And then this part went super fast because, as you can see, it is mainly just 3 colors. It is mainly black, 814 and 817, which is the red, the garnet, and the black. I still have a few different browns to do up here and throughout, but that's like 20 more stitches, which means that I've done, you know, 2,000 stitches in a day and a half because this is just a lot faster. And as you can see, I have very few parked threads in this column, which means there aren't that many colors, which make it go so much faster, which is super exciting. I have also decided that I am going to stick to my 50% before I start my next pattern, which is Once Upon a Time by, Amy Stewart, which is the is it Once Upon a Story? I have it on my iPad, I can't check, but I think it's Once Upon a Time. I have the regular size chart, so it'll be, I think, the same size, maybe a little smaller than Heroes and Heroines. And anyone who knows me, I am a huge fantasy reader. I love watching fantasy movies. I love everything fantasy. I love dungeons. I actually DM a Dungeons & Dragons game, so that's a little fun story about me. I am a huge nerd, so I am very excited about that. I have decided that when I start that one, I want to start in the bottom right, because this time I started in the top left, so I want to work the opposite. And I think the way that I'm going to work on that and this is I'm going to switch back and forth. So every time I get a page finish on Heroes and Heroines, I'm going to move over to Once Upon a Fairy Tale and do that one the opposite way, so that when I get halfway on that piece, I'll hopefully be done with that one, which of course will make it take a little bit longer, but I think I'll enjoy that because the color scheme is a lot different in that piece. This piece has got a lot of, I don't know if you can see it, this piece has got a lot of reds and greens and browns in it, and Once Upon a Fairy Tale, I'm gonna have to look it up just a second. I'm going to look this piece up. I'm sorry for not being prepared. Woo! I think I was a little heavy-handed with my blush today, but it's fine. It is Once Upon a Fairy Tale. I will show you a picture of it. I'm sure you've seen it. It's all over Instagram. Pardon my phone. Let's see if I can get it. It's a terrible picture. But I'm going to start down here with the Viking and nautical stuff. It's got mermaids. I also want to start there because I haven't seen a lot of pictures of that. I've seen a lot of people who start in the bottom center and then are working their way up. And then I've seen quite a few people start in the top left over here, and then a few other people start in the top left. I also think I'm going to do this one tent stitch instead of the full cross. We will see how that works because I really, really like the full coverage. The coverage on the full stitch, but if I could make that one go a little faster. But then again, I love to stitch and I've got so much time. You know, getting 10% in about 4 months is incredible. Actually, it's only really been 3 months because it's the beginning of April, so at the end of April would have been 4 months. But, you know, getting 10% in 3.5 months is crazy. I have also realized with this piece and with this Heaven and Earth design, I don't know if it's going to be that way in the other design. I will check and get back to you next time. But actually, this first row is this first page is the biggest of, it's bigger than these other ones, which I think you can kind of tell. Like this is just, like if this isn't really cut in half. But this first page is always the biggest. So I think once I get, there are 3 and like 200 stitches until I reach the bottom. I have 3 pages and 200 stitches. I have officially met the middle of this piece, right, you know, vertically is this way. I think it's at like 270 something because I think it's 524 stitches long, tall. But yeah, I will show you this once again because I'm very proud of it. It looks great. I am very glad I decided to do the staggered. I am stealing that from Stitch All the Things, I think is her name. She runs WIP Go. And this is how she's doing her Focus HAED this year. And yeah, I'm really glad I did that because I think if looking at this finish, I would have just finished that piece and I would be here anyways, but instead I got to work a little bit on Daisy and Gatsby. I can't remember his first name for some reason. I've read the book 3 or 4 times, but I cannot remember Gatsby's name. For some reason, Bill is popping up in my head, but I know that's not it. Bill Gatsby. William Gatsby. It might be William Gatsby. I don't know. John. But yeah, that was my progress this week. So I think I did around 5,400 stitches-ish. If I had to guess, I was a little slower last week because there were a few days where wasn't having a great time last week, so sometimes I would sit down to stitch and I would instead just kind of watch what I was listening to instead of listening to it and stitching. So my stitching took a little longer, and also anytime you get to people or dresses of some sort, it takes so much longer. But I think stitching like this won't take as long, because I think that if I had done that with this column and this column and this column, I could have finished that in like 4 days instead of the week that this whole block took me, and then I could have just busted all this out. And I have been considering trying to do cross country across the page, but like I said, I'm not the best counter, and I'm terrified of putting a whole bunch of work into a page and then finding out, lo and behold, I made a whole bunch of mistakes and have to rip it all out. Which is the reason I've decided to always do HAEDs on the 25 Easy Count Lugana or Ada or Zweigart, because these are huge pieces, and while little mistakes like, oh, I'm just gonna put in an extra stitch here of this one color, will never be seen, but if it's like I start a color and then don't realize until I've gotten 4 different colors in, which actually, let me show you where I did that. It was the first little stitches I did. So in this pattern, there is a filled in triangle that goes this way, and there's one that goes this way. Well, this was my first ever Heaven and Earth Designs. It was this brown. As you can see, there's a very obvious difference. I don't know if I'm going to rip it out yet or not. I'm going to see. I mean, I don't think it's too obvious, but I also look at it all the time. As you can see, that was supposed to be 720. Well, instead, I put 434 in. 720 is this bright orange here, and then 434 is that dark kind of muddy color. I realized this when I was working in these books, which are supposed to be orange, and they were brown, because on this you can see they are orange, and they were coming out brown, and I was like, oh, bah! And it was like my 3rd or 4th day working on it. I was feeling great, and it was super awful, because that first page is pretty wide, so I was probably here-ish, and I had to rip out all of this. Yeah, it really sucked. But I ripped it out, and the whole piece looks better. So yeah, I guess anyone who's looking to, in this time, I'm seeing a lot of people starting their first Heaven and Earth designs. If you were somehow watching this video, a lot of the symbols look very similar. There are filled in triangles, there are not filled in triangles. There are triangles that go this way, there are triangles that go that way. There are arrows that go up, there's and then there are arrows that fill in, and there's arrows that not filled in. So, pay close attention, take your time. I'm kind of at the point now where I sort of kind of know which colors. There are some that I have like engraved in my memory, like the 814, the 815, like what those colors are, what 817 is, what 720 is. I will never forget that color. Now I know what color that is. But yeah, I would definitely suggest just take your time. You will be spending a lot of time on this project, and you don't want it to be wrong, because this is definitely going to be a project that I have hanging in my house for the rest of my life. My hope is that I am actually still living here when this is done, and if I continue on with the progress that I'm having, I have this charted out, and most likely this won't happen because once school starts back in on August, I think that my kittens piece is going to become my new travel piece, because it's a kit and everything's in it, and I can just shove that down in my backpack, because because for a while I was so enamored with heroes and heroines that I was taking that as my on-the-go project to stitch between classes. And looking at my schedule for next year, I have a 3-hour break on Monday between one of my history classes and my stats class. It just depends on if I take that piece or if I take my kittens piece. But I think I'm going to take my kittens piece, but then I'll also be clearing up Wednesday, so I'll have a full 7-day thing on that piece. But I've decided that, let me move you over a little bit, I want to hang that right there. It fits perfectly. And I have decided that I think I'm going to get that one professionally framed, so I'm going to be saving up for that, because it's probably going to be a bit of an expensive project to get framed. But I think it'll be worth it. So yeah, I just worked on 2 things this week. Didn't buy anything. Been staying in the house. Been drinking a lot of tea, and I actually started doing a workout routine. It's a pretty popular one. It's Chloe Ting's ab shred, so abs in 2 weeks. It is kicking my ass, pardon my French, but oh my goodness, it makes me drenched in sweat. I have decided that I usually do that workout at 4, so eat lunch at around 1, have a snack at 3, and then work out at 4, and then when I'm done working out, it's about a 30 to 45 minute workout depending on the day. Then I take a shower, and then I make dinner. So yeah, that has been my current kind of thing. I am very lucky this semester because all my classes were really bunched up anyways. I only have to go to 1 Zoom class this semester. Everything else is PowerPoints and then listening to lectures at your own time, and I usually do that in the evenings just because my brain is a little more focused. I have more energy in the mornings, but I'm more focused in the evenings, so yeah, that's how it works. But I only have 1 Zoom class, and it's at 10, so days like today where she puts the anthropology stuff up on Saturday evening, so I usually get all my anthropology homework done on Sunday because I don't have to be up anytime, and I can just kind of do it at my own pace. So I've got pretty much all that stuff done for this week. I have a lab that opens on Friday, so I can't do that yet, but yeah, it is fun. I am kind of enjoying this online school thing, not gonna lie, but it definitely is different. So I'm gonna get off here. I've been rambling and not really talking about cross stitch for the past few minutes. I'm sorry about that. But I need to figure out how to get more of my actual torso in the shot. But we'll figure that out next time. We'll see if I figured it out. I probably haven't, because I'm very technologically inept, even though I should be much better at it than I am, because I'm very young. But I'm a grandma at heart. So I will see you all this time next week, and have a great week.